and me rushing, I did not record any of that. ah,
It's okay.
yeah. So at
We
least,
can pretty much discuss what we.
yeah. So at least the part of us discussing it, we can understand. Really, the recorded portion of the meditation, I think that that's something that's private. However, I will do another recording of us meditating. Maybe we'll go maybe 10 minutes and see, you know, how that is. And I'll make sure that I'll have it recorded, but we just started recording. So,
Okay.
yeah, so that was my fault. I didn't even realize. Okay. So we're recording now. Okay. So Tammy, just let us know, no rush. Let us know when you are done.
Okay, I am done.
Okay,
Thank you.
no problem. So who would like to share what they witnessed, what they heard, what, you know, how the meditation helped you, how it did not help you, whether you possibly needed more time, so on and so forth. So y'all could just express that. Anybody wanted to?
Okay, I'll go first.
And I'll share mine at the end. Okay.
I spaced out. I can't even tell you what I was thinking. The only thing I was conscious of, I was listening to the music and I was focusing on my breath.
Okay.
But the thoughts that came, I can't even remember or even try to make sense of them. I've meditated like 3 times today already because I start early in the morning. So one guided meditation that I have been using for a couple of months now, and it's really interesting because when you first start listening to certain guided meditations, you don't really hear everything until you do it over and over again, you know, and you know when things are going to happen. But I started to really feel what the guider, or for lack of a better word, the person that was guiding it was helping me to do. And what he does is he says, you know, our minds are subtler than water and subtler than air. So just let it flow, and so I started being able to let that, it's very relaxing, to be honest with you. Started to really let my mind just fill up the whole room, you know, and it just really just allowed me to let go. And that's the most relaxed I've ever felt in a meditation, you know, because I've been involved in a meditation group for like 3 years. While it was a nice experience, being able to allow my mind to just spread out, you know, like, you know, when you pour water out, it just goes wherever, you know. So he basically says, let your mind spread through the whole room, just like air, just like water. And it really makes a big difference to me in terms of being able to relax. But it was only 5 minutes. So I think, you know, I would need more time because I'm used to meditating for like, you know, at least an hour or maybe 90 minutes. But I was enjoying being able to meditate. I did feel you guys meditating with me. And I was listening to the music. It did get kind of jumpy. The music got a little jumpy because I guess it was just, the transmission. I heard like air and then it was breaking up a little bit, but that was okay. I mean, I was able to just, you know, breathe through it.
Okay, that's good. That's good observation of your thoughts while you were meditating, and then just putting it all together, you know. So a lot of times I think that's what we miss in meditation. We think it's just meditating to clear your mind, but it's meditating to observe everything, to, you know, kind of like encompass your whole mind, your whole thoughts into everything that you are experiencing at that time. And then just being able to record it either in your mind or on paper. So you can have a way you can go back and you can track what's going on. So who wants to go next?
I guess I'll go next.
Okay.
The first thing I wrote is I was somewhat distracted by the fluttering of the audio.
Okay.
It was sort of in and out at some point, but it didn't last long that it was a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
The words that particularly moved me right before you stopped talking was to focus on nothing, because I have a tendency to feel like I'm supposed to see fireworks or feel something. And when I go through periods that I don't necessarily connect to anything particularly, I kind of overthink that. So when you said focus on the nothing, how peaceful that is, that kind of sent a message to me, and that I needed to hear, because that's something that I don't usually receive in that way.
Right.
And so once I I started focusing on the fluttering again soon after those words, but then the fluttering faded in my mind as I started noticing a wave of green shaped in the shape of a V, and then it was moving slowly upward through my vision. And every time you come up again, it's the color, it started to look more like wings as it just was rolling through the darkness. And at some point it changed to orange, a couple of times wavering orange and green, and then it went back to green again. And that was it for me. And then soon after that, you kind of ended it.
Okay. Okay, so let me give a quick scenario of just observing or hearing what you observe. The process that your meditation went through. So it's a process of shifting from hearing the sound of the meditation, of the guided meditation, different variation of noises. Then it went to a state of just hearing silence, because that's what you heard me say. And then you said that you seen a V in the darkness that started out green. Am I correct? Okay, so started out green. You recognize that green is, you can picture that as nature. You can also picture that as one of the chakras. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that is the heart chakra. So immediately your heart probably started to expand and to resonate on love, resonate on openness. And as you expounded yourself to open up, and then you quickly saw the V change from green to orange. And the orange represents the sacral chakra. The sacral chakra is creativity and I'm not sure what else it actually represents, but the ability to be able to create. So that's your imagination. So your imagination, it went from your heart opening up to you just letting go and being open, to the orange sacral chakra being able to see images possibly and allowing the images to take form and take shape. And then it transitioned from orange to what?
Back to green.
Back to green. So it expounded you even more through your creativity and your thought to open up even more. And then it was quickly those visions, those thoughts, those images came to a close as the meditation came to a close, correct? So that's how you process what it was that you were going through during your meditation. So that's how you resonate with the energy and the space that you were in. And so that's what you want to keep in mind. So that's why it's important to write down what you thought, what you seen, how you reacted, any emotions, whether you laughed, whether you smiled, whether you cried, whether you were scared, whatever. And then you can process, okay, what was it that I was feeling? What was it that I was hearing? What did I see that made me feel this way? You know, so on and so forth. So that'll help you understand what stage you are in meditation and how you're able to have a better experience, or pretty much like you can get to the point to where you can, instead of just having a silent meditation and just allowing things to come to you, you can direct your thoughts, your energy towards what it is that you want to experience during the meditation. And so once you learn how to balance your chakras and send energy, as they say, the kundalini energy from the root chakra all the way up to the crown chakra, and focus your intention, then you can actually open yourself up and you can actually raise your vibrations to you elevating from the third dimension to the fourth and fifth dimension. And so that, you know, that's something that is just helping you to process what it is that you want to do during your meditation, or just allowing things to come to you. So you could really have fun with meditation. Some people think that meditation is actually boring. Well, it's boring at the beginning stages because you're learning.
Mhm.
Once you're learning and you understand the process and what you need to do and how you need to go about it to get a different experience, or to pinpoint exactly where you want to go during your meditation, it becomes exciting and fun. You want to meditate all the time, because you realize, man, I don't want to stay here on Earth. I want to go sixth dimension. I want to, you know, I want to see what Chris Ford is doing at his home. You know what I'm saying? So I'm an astro. So it can really be exciting and fun. So, Candace, would you like to go ahead and share?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Yeah, sure. So let's start. Number one, when we started to meditate, and this happens almost all the time that I meditate, I start seeing a light right here. It's as if I'm seeing through my third or my first eye right away. And so that's what I usually have, and that's what happened this time. It starts looking like off, like looking at like an eclipse, and then eventually the light kind of spreads out.
Okay.
So that's how that started. And then when you told us to start breathing in and out, after the first deep breath, I noticed my body started rocking like this uncontrollably. And it would go between rocking side to side or front and back or in a circle. And that would be like a theme consistently throughout the entire meditation. I would just rock uncontrollably. Again, this is also not new, but I noticed that as of late, the more I've been meditating and becoming more in tune, is the more that happens, where I'll just have this uncontrollable rocking during meditation. The next thing, okay, so once we finally got into the meditation, I told myself, okay, cells, body, it's time to now start cleansing. So let's use the breath to cleanse. I would breathe in the air and the life around me. And I told myself, body, this is the time for you to release whatever it is you need to release. So that's what I was doing this part of the meditation. And I was envisioning the air going to like my feet and my shoulders and wherever else I felt like needed to be cleansed. So myself, body, whatever you got to do, let's do it. As soon as I said that, I burped. I'm like, okay, great. And then after we were done meditating, oh wait, no, before that. Okay, so towards the end of the meditation, I heard a voice say, oh, this 5 minutes is feeling kind of long. And then I heard another voice behind that, with very loving, very calm, say, sweetheart, that's because we're almost done. So you're feeling that we're reaching towards the end of the meditation. And that alone put the entire conversation at peace, to the end, and I was able to get back into focusing on meditating. Okay. And I'm finishing it with a steady mind. And then finally, once we're all the way done, I feel this pulsing, this like life force of pulsing through my entire body, still going, you know, just in and out, as if it feels like a life force. Okay. Like its own heartbeat. And I just feel it on and on.
Wow.
That's it.
Okay, so let me see if I can analyze what you experienced. So as you were meditating, you said you immediately felt was it like a penetration or kind of like, you know how suddenly you get dizzy? So
Oh,
was it like that type?
no,
No?
it wasn't a feeling. It was literally just me closing my eyes and seeing light
Okay.
in this area. As if I'm seeing, as if this is my eye and I'm seeing through an eye, like I'm seeing some kind of light coming through it.
Okay. So possibly third eye could have been opening or is already open. And so a lot of times, like when I'm meditating and I get to the point to where I'm opening my third eye, there's several things that I can do to open it. That is, I can put, let me show you real quick. I think I showed you guys before.
Mm-hmm.
Time to time, I put Tiger Balm on my third eye. So this is a menthol, it penetrates and that starts the tingling feeling of my third eye. So it starts to pulsate and I know that my third eye is starting to open more. Or a lot of times I'll close my eyes like real hard. And then what happens is I focus on the center of my forehead and that starts the intense feeling of almost like the onset of a headache, you know? And so that opens my third eye. Or I can just allow my third eye to open through me being grateful, um, me having gratitude and love in my heart, and just saying, you know, I'm filled with forgiveness, I'm filled with love. And so as my vibrations rise, that opens up my third eye. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of understand like the light that you see. Once your third eye is open, that's what you will see. So you'll see, you said you also felt like a life force, you know, you started shaking back and forth. That's
Mm-hmm.
vibrations that are rising. It's like you're
That's what?
rising from the vibrations,
Oh.
like you're raising your vibrations. So if your vibrations are raising, it will tend to move the body back and forth. You know,
Mm.
it could be the energy force or life force that's coming from your root chakra as your third eye is opening and it's moving the energy up. So
Mm.
explain the burp, because as the energy is moving up, as you're breathing as well, the air moves the gas around in your body. So it will cause you to, you know, I haven't done it yet. I've burped many times, but it could either cause you to burp or to fart.
Mm.
It will move that energy around, will move that gas around that's in your body as your vibrations are raising up and your energy is raising up. So what else you said that you saw?
Let's see. Then I mentioned about just the conversation, the inner talk. I felt like it was my natural self saying, "Hey, where we at?" And my spirit was like, "We almost done."
Yeah. So it was almost like your lowest self that was being patient and your higher self speaking up and saying, hey, you know, we're doing something here. Be patient. It's about to be,
Right.
you know, so
Exactly.
your lower self and your higher self, you know, communicating with one another. And so a lot of times you have to, when you're meditating, it's good to observe everything, to kind of, you know, like just be the observer, not try to direct everything and be so forceful, but just allow things to come and allow things to happen. And then when it does, and you create that experience, you now have the ability to write exactly what happened. It's almost like a dream, like when you lay down at night and you start to dream and it's a lucid dream or a vivid dream, then you're able to, oh, Tammy, I saw you with your hand up. Give me 1 sec. So,
okay, no rush.
Okay. So it's almost like, yeah, with the lucid dream. Like I had a lucid dream last night and it was me and my brother-in-law. And I got to tell you about this dream real quick. So, yeah, so we were in a truck, you know, like a big 18-wheeler, and we were going down this hill. and I was trying to stop, and there was a car at the bottom of the hill. So when I stopped, I almost hit the car. And I was so scared. I was like, oh my gosh, we'll get ready to wreck. And then he was kind of like laughing. And I'm sitting up here like, what are you laughing for? You know, so, and then the dream went from there to us getting in a confrontation with someone. And it was like I was running through this house about to jump out of the window. It was just crazy, but it was just interactive. It was like lucid. And I remember all of that. So you want to get to the point to where, how do I relate all of this to meditation? It's just that you're going to go through some things during meditation. And if you're able to remember them, or at least write them down, then you can see how it makes sense, or where you were in that state of meditation, just like you are in a dream. So go ahead, Tammy, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine. Was it David in your dream?
But no, it wasn't David. It was
Not that brother-in-law. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yes, this was my brother-in-law.
Okay. I got
You know
you.
what I mean, this was my brother-in-law. And
Okay.
so yeah. So it was kind of it was interesting, because it was like I didn't know where we were going from one stage of the dream to the next. And it was just like, okay, it's time for me to wake up, because this is getting crazy. Yeah.
Okay. The first thing I thought while Candace was speaking, I listened to Cookie, and I could only admire that you meditate for, hour or 90 minutes at a time. I unfortunately am sort of the opposite. Mine are short, and they feel long, but they're short. And so it really resonated with me when her lower self said, "Hey, this is long," and the other one was like, "Relax," So I can relate to that. That happens to me often in that way. And then the other thing, I had made a note as soon as we started meditating to ask you guys, does anyone else get a headache when they start meditating? And then I forgot to include it in my notes until you mentioned it. But almost every time I start to meditate, within 5 minutes, I get sort of, it's not like a heavy headache, but it's a pulsating. For me, it starts around my temple.
Okay. So it's like a dizziness, right?
It's pressure.
Dizziness.
It's
pressure. Okay.
It's not dizziness. It's like almost like when you have a headache that's not really a headache, but it's kind of it's almost like it's the faded headache. It's not like really hurting, but it's a throb, and it's at my temple. And I just wondered if anybody else gets that.
Yeah. And Candace, she raised her hand, I guess, saying she did. Yes,
definitely.
It can start in your temple, or it can start right here at your third eye. But that it could be a dizziness, or it could be a pressure. It just depends on the intensity of it.
It's like someone squeezing your head like this.
So that's
what it feels like.
Starting to open. That's light penetrating.
Yeah, it's funny. When I was like 13 or 14, and I first heard about meditation for like ever, I was like, let me try this. And that first time I got a headache, and I started feeling like hot and not feeling well. I was like, well, this is not for me, clearly. And I never tried it again after that for like years. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
Awesome. So Cookie, you got any thoughts on that?
When you're getting a headache, and by the way, I just started this 8 to 5 job, and trust me, it's not easy. I get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I have about 2 things that I have, 2 meditations or things that I have to do before I even get up and drink the water. Sometimes, I get up, I drink my water, and make my tea and stuff like that. And so I have to and then you include the exercise. I actually, my exercise only lasts like 15 minutes, but lo and behold, I have to leave the house at 7:20, right? Lo and behold, I'm sitting down to meditate at 6:30. And it's like, I have to really use, because I have had my meditation on a regular, used to it for a long time. I really make sure that I put quality time into that 10 minutes. And and it's okay, because I know as long as I don't walk out that door before I meditate, I'm good. Now with regard to when I first started meditating, this is funny. You all any of you familiar with Abraham Hicks?
Yes.
Okay. It's very interesting. You can check him out on YouTube. The husband died, Esther Hicks. What's the guy's name? I can't think of his name. But anyway, Jerry, he died. But they were together for a long time, and he was helping to facilitate her because her spirit guide or whatever started coming. She didn't really realize what was happening, but it started working through her. She started channeling this, and it was really interesting. But I noticed when she said the first time that she started feeling any kind of sensation, she noticed that her head was going like this, right? And she wasn't making it go like that. And I don't know how, but sometimes, well, it used to happen a lot, but it's a really interesting feeling. Like I'm just sitting there and all of a sudden my head's going to go like this. And I'm just letting it go.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like, and I believe she was saying it was like God touching your head, and just, I guess, letting you know that he's there. It's very pleasant. It's not unpleasant. The pain, any kind of discomfort, I've been through some guided meditations, and it's just you just breathe through it. You just like, when you start feeling that pressure, just breathe through it and just let it, you're going to hear words, you're going to hear thoughts, all that stuff. You just got to allow it to just happen, and just, if, as much as you can, try to sit as still as possible and breathe through it. Now, of course, I got to scratch my nose. I'm sorry. Give me anything else, but don't make me itch. I got to scratch. I ain't gonna stop scratching. It's so funny. It's like, but yeah, but for the most time, but you'll as you continue to practice it, and when I was with the meditation group, at first we started out with just with nothing, no sound, no words, no guiding, and then all of a sudden we started this new process called the Peace Circle, and it just freaked me out because they were just constantly guiding you through it. And I was like, will she shut up? I'm trying to meditate, trying to focus. But I'm used to it now. I got used to it because I did it for like over a year, and I understand now. And the funny part is, I found this guided meditation with this Indian guy who have two of his meditations that I do, and I'm able to, I don't get freaked out when they start talking, because first it was like jumping when you hear them saying, they'll just start saying something like breathe through it, or I can't remember the words, whatever words they said, it was just getting on my nerves. But now I'm able to listen to what they're saying and follow the prompts. They're called prompts. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. That's like, why did we gotta have to get the prompts? Just, but now that it's really interesting that I've actually gone through that. I feel like I went through a whole college course when I was with that group, the meditation group. And we met every week. And there were different processes. There were different mantras that we had to do, but they were all the mantras you had to learn and say it silently. However, when we did the Peace Circle, it's you to have the person sitting there who's like our guide, or whatever you want to call it, and then they would just still be like, saying those prompts. So, but it takes practice. It takes practice. I've been meditating for many, many years, and it's up to you what you really want to get out of it. All I know for a fact is just my spirit needs to be strengthened. My spirit needs to be fed. And I've never felt more at ease, because I literally was depressed. I was like really very, very depressed and freaked out for a long time until I learned how to meditate and until I learned how to pray to God. Because at that time, prior to that, I was a Buddhist and we didn't like pray directly to God. But my spirit said, okay, that's enough. Nam yo horenge kyo. No more. Now it's time to meditate.
Mhm.
And it was wonderful. I know that I'm on the right spiritual path. I know that I'm on the right spiritual path. And as you continue to do it, the consistency is the most important thing. Consistency, because I cannot stress that more. And I hope I answered your question, because sometimes I digress, but
Right.
yeah, anytime you feel pain or any kind of discomfort, just let it happen and breathe through it and continue to focus on whatever, either you're breathing or whatever you're focusing on.
Yes. So yeah, I would definitely say, make sure that you're hydrated, make sure that you are that you have water before you meditate. Sometimes if you're just getting up, like in the middle of in the morning, like I am at 3:00, I try to make sure that I have some water with me, and I'll have a couple of sips of water just so I'm not dry. And, sometimes you can get up too fast and that causes your head to spin a little bit. And then, it'll be hard for you to go into meditation when you're already dizzy, or, it takes you a couple of minutes to get yourself together. So water is a good thing. Stay hydrated. I remember when I did meditate one time and I asked my spirit guide to introduce me to my ancestor. And I heard this voice stopping me right there. And my spirit guide was like, you need to go get some water. I was like, well, what about the flame? What, the candle? It was like, hey, I got this, go get some water. And so I know to hear what I'm saying, that sounds probably like it's far-fetched or crazy, or like that was your inner voice, or that was you saying, go get some water. But no, it was not me. It was because I was so concerned with the flame. I'm like, no, I'm not leaving this candle. I would have to blow it out. And they're like, look, go get some water. It caused me to jump. I'm like, okay, I'll go get some water. And so that's when you're really in tune with your spirit guides and your ancestors, when you're able to hear clear communication from them. It's like an inner voice, but it's a much more, sometimes it's softer, but it's a commanding presence. It's a commanding voice. So it's the difference between your voice and the voice of your spirit guides or your ancestors. And that's when you know that you are resonating on a higher frequency and a higher plane, is when you're able to notice your inner voice versus the inner voice of the ancient ones. So that's a pretty good space to be in, a pretty good feeling, because, once you say it and then you hear other people say, yes, I've heard that voice, it's a distinct voice, and it's, then you don't feel like you're crazy, because a lot of times you do. Being in a space when you're able to communicate with spirits, and then you're able to try to differentiate between, okay, is this my higher self talking? Is this my ancestors or spirit guides talking? Or is this some spirit that's trying to come through and communicate with me? You know what I mean? So it takes a while to actually learn the different voices, and then you have to trust yourself. Yes, Candace, you raise your hand.
Yes, I'm glad we're on this topic. This is something that I've been wanting to share with people for a while. I just haven't had the unction to share it yet until now. So what you're talking about, learning how to just hear the inner voice and distinguish it and know it for sure. I had a crash course in that. I attended this virtual meeting with this woman. She is officially the first Black female billionaire. Her name
Oh,
is
wow.
Janice Bryant Howard is her name. And she's a Christian, and she is very spiritual. And she was just dropping gems, man, dropping so many gems. One of the things she said to do was to be able to hear the voice of the ancient ones inside of you. She didn't call it that, but this is what I'm calling it. She said to create a T graph, which is pretty much a line and on a piece of paper, and then another line across the top. One side, you're going to write down when you heard a voice inside of you tell you to do something. And on the other side of the graph, you're going to write down what was your response to that. Did you follow it? Did you decide not to follow it? And I added another part which was what was the result of that. She said, write this down as often as you can. Every time you hear the voice telling you to do something or giving you some information, write it down for 10 days straight. Keep doing this every day, all day, as many times as you can, and then you'll start seeing a pattern. And that was how I learned how to recognize the voice of God inside of me. I started recognizing the ancient ones because it became very pronounced now. What voices were telling me what to do? I'm like, oh, you've been telling me all the right things this whole time. I just haven't been listening. And then when the outcome isn't what I expect it to be, well, if I was following the pattern and listening to the voice this whole time, I would have had the right outcome. But I was only able to see that once I made that T graph. So I just want to share that with you. That's one way of being able to hear that voice and recognize it.
And
Very
something
helpful.
just came to me to tell you, Candace, they love you very much. And they are so happy that you connect with them. And yeah, I just felt, woo. Yeah, they love you. They love you a lot. And they are so happy. It's like they're ringing the bell. Ding, 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 ding. She's getting it. Ding, 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 ding. You know, yes, yes, yes.
Right.
And so, yeah, so embrace that because it's gonna keep coming in a bigger way. It's so beautiful and so profound, but so subtle. It's subtle. It's not like you can put your finger on it. But I just wanted to. If I hadn't shared that with you, I would have forgotten it. But yeah, they're happy. They love you. They're happy that you are making the connection. That you're making the connection.
That's amazing. Thank y'all.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much, Cookie, for sharing that.
You're welcome. Tammy, did you have any insight on that as well? You're muted.
I just want to, it hit me out of nowhere. The only time that I can say that the first time that I can say I heard a voice, my daughter, who's 34 now, was diagnosed with a condition at 14 with juvenile myoclonic seizures for a short period of time. And when I first found out what was happening, my experience caused me to fall out on the floor, screaming and crying, why my baby, why, I went through a breakdown of some sort where I'm saying, God, why her, why her? And keep in mind, this is before I knew anything about energy and spirituality and the way that I do now. But during that breakdown, something said, she's not yours anyway. And when I heard that in mid crying and screaming and falling on the floor, I was like, where did that come from? I know that didn't come from me, because I would never tell me that she's not mine anyway. And I was trying to get myself together because I was very emotional. And it said, I just lent her to you for a period of time. And again, it was terrifying. My heart was racing. And I was like, where did that come from? And I knew then, wherever it came from, it was a higher place than me. And so at that time, I considered myself Christian. And I took it as, God just spoke to me and told me not to stress over this because she's not mine anyway. And once I started viewing her as not being mine, as being lent to me, then I was able to function through that whole process and not break down. And I was strong for her. And together we went through a year of something that led to her never having them again. So we believed that it wasn't going to stay with her, and we stayed positive and great energy. But I just remember that's when I heard the voice. And now I think about it and I know that that was, you know, either my spirit guide, an ancestor, or, you know, the Almighty. I don't know exactly. I just, that's what came to mind when I was hearing you guys talk about voices. I don't hear them a lot now, but I've heard them throughout my life.
Can I interject?
Sure.
Your story reminded me of Iyanla's book, Peace from Broken Pieces. That book really gutted me. It was gut wrenching to the core. I will not read that book again. I cannot read that book again. However, because it opened with, had such a dramatic opening, because I don't know if you know this, her daughter died of cancer. Anybody know that? Yeah, it was bad. And when her daughter was about to cross over, and Iyanla she's an African priestess, but she also believes in Jesus Christ and the Christ. She called him the Christ. And at the time that she was about to cross over, it was like she was holding her daughter in her arms. I don't know if she was doing it physically or spiritually. And Jesus came and asked her to give her to him. And she said, he asked her, do you trust me, right? And she said, yes. And she, placed her daughter in his arms. And girl, I can't read that book again, but if y'all need to read that book, because she had so many spiritual revelations. I don't want to spoil it for you, but your story reminded me so much of that moment when her daughter was about to transition.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So
thank you for sharing that.
Something just happened, right?
Cookie, thank you.
Cookie, right before you started speaking and saying that something just happened, that I guess I'll share it with you guys, because I have my blinds open. So I'm in my office looking out towards the sidewalk that's outside of my house, right? So I'm seeing two people walking with a dog. One of the guys, just for a split second, I seen the face of one of my coworkers that just recently passed away.
Whew.
He kind of looked like him, like real quick. I was like, I don't know if y'all seen me, but I was doing like this. I was like, looking out of my window. I'm like, okay, that was weird, but his face looked just like my coworker. My coworker, he passed away. He had, I think he was on the job for like maybe 20, 22 years. He was on the hospital team. He had asthma real bad, which we didn't know. And he contracted COVID while in the hospital. I think he passed away like 2 times. They brought him back. He had double lung failure, and they were trying to see if he was going to get to a certain stage where they can put him on a waiting list to be able to get lung replacements. But he never did reach that stage where they wanted to put him on that list. He actually was hooked up to a bunch of tubes, breathing tubes and stuff like that. At one time, they took him off. He had got to a point where he could take maybe 2 or 3 steps, and then he was out of breath, so on and so forth. But he fought ever since, I think March is when he went into the hospital. So from March up until, what's the day, Sunday, I think it was Tuesday, they announced that he passed away.
Wow.
In the hospital. So he fought a long time. And I'm thinking, because his wife, she was there the whole time. She was like his cheerleader, so on and so forth. And she would always reach out to one of us and let us know his condition and how he was doing. And he gave up the fight. But I think the reason that he lasted that long is because he was trying to give his wife and his grandchildren some time, to kind of like
Prepare.
and allow, any co-workers that wanted to come up there to see him and spend time with him. So it was just like, it was just odd that whenever I seen that couple walking with the dog, he looked exactly like my coworker for that split second. So I don't know if my mind was on him or whether it was just his way of showing me that, that he's okay. I don't know. And that's the thing about spirit and energy. Things will happen subtle, just like Cookie was saying, and I think somebody else mentioned it. It will happen real subtle, like if it gives you a couple of seconds to pay attention to it. And if you're not paying attention to it, it would just go right past you. And it's like, I missed that. I know it was something, but I missed it. But that's how spirit and energy is. It's real subtle. So that relates back to the voices. It's like, it's a subtle type of command. And if you're not paying attention to that command, then it's like, okay, because your mind will start playing tricks on you. So that part was just interesting. I thought that I would share that with you guys. So yeah, pretty interesting. So anybody else want to expound on maybe meditation or energy and how you perceive energy, or maybe someone that impacted your life and you want to share a story about how it maybe got you on a path to your spiritual awakening, I guess that was a lot that I just put on you guys' plate, and y'all okay.
Definitely Ian Levan Sant. I love her. She is very, very spiritual. And during a time where I was in a spiritual crisis, I read like 3 of her books back to back. One of them I read back to back twice. But her book, Every Day I Pray, has prayers for like every day. And that book is tore up now, but that helped me a lot. And then what else was it? Yeah, she's really, really, I really feel that she's a very spiritual person, and she really stresses the importance of doing something for yourself every day, really loving yourself in the fact that when you get up in the morning, you need to have a ritual that you follow religiously and consistently every day. She says she has her scriptures that she reads. She has whatever kind of meditation or affirmations that she does. So I pretty much model my daily routine after hers. And it just, if it may not be for you, but it just feels so good because I know that I have a roadmap for the day. And I have really, recently, because it's an everyday thing. You learn, it's an ongoing learning experience, but I've really learned to hone the power of making an intention and affirmation before I sit down to meditate. Like for instance, like, if you have a new job or something like that, and you have to learn a new system and you might be a little bit scared. Well, hey, this is me. This is my life. This is my world. I am going to be an expert. I am going to master that today. Today, I am going to have, and you just determine that. And then, then I sit down and I meditate and I let the rest go up to the universe, allow it to, I release it to the universe. And I really can tell you that, the fear and the apprehension and all of that is gone. I walk in there, I do my thing. I feel like, when I leave for the day, that I have definitely accomplished something, and I have definitely accomplished my objective to make new roadways in ways towards, getting myself totally settled in.
That's cool. That's awesome. That's great. Candace, did you have a question? You want to say something?
Actually, I have to bid you all fare thee well because I have to go do something with the family and they're waiting on me. But I just want to say before I go, guys, this was a pleasure. It was very, very nice. I love talking to y'all. And
Me
I'm
too.
taking a lot from y'all today. Thank you all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Until next
See you
time.
later. All right.
Until next time.
All right.
I would like to tag on to Cookie and say,
Sure.
You pretty much described what I call, and you said it, setting your intention pretty much. And what I had to add to that, because I knew to set my intention in order for me to stay centered towards whatever my goal was, such as you described, I had to focus on on what I know more than I was focusing on what I feel. Because for me, my feelings were my catalyst for delay or distraction. So because I'm a very emotional person, so however I felt about something, if I felt nervous, or if I felt anxious, or if I felt unsure, although I could think about setting my intention to be confident, I would still end up focusing more on my feelings than I would my knowing. So I learned to keep reminding myself to focus on what I know about me being able to accomplish anything than how I feel about it sometimes. So yeah, that's what I thought about that as you were describing setting your intention during, manifestations. So thank you for that.
That's awesome. Yeah. So it's very important, like Cookie was saying, to set your intention, and also just as a reminder, sometimes you have to have that self-talk, as we call it, affirmations. You're affirming with the universe, you're affirming with yourself, you're affirming with your higher self, what you're capable of and what you deserve. And, and so it's important for you to hear that. It's important for you to know it in your heart. And so I felt like that was right on point, Cookie. That's what we all need to do every morning. So is there anything else you guys would like to discuss? I know we've been on here for about an hour. So is there anything else on this subject of meditation and affirmations and spiritual guidance?
I'm good. I hope that, we can, continue to explore new horizons together. And
Absolutely. That's what we are here for, to just, to grow and to expand and to, realize that there's something greater outside of ourselves and how we can connect to it, And so that's what we're here to do. So within saying that, I will see you guys in 2 more weeks at 3:00 on the dot. I know I was a little late today, so this is recorded and it will be sent out to you guys. So
Thank you both.
all right, y'all have a good week and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, blessings.